You don't know my name. You've never even heard my name. Oh, you know my husband. You've heard of him. Job, the righteous man. Job, the godly man. Job, the perfect man. Job, the wealthy man. Yes, he was wealthy. He had 7,000 sheep, 3,000 camels. Do you know how big a camel is? That's the big guys. I mean, 3 would take up a yard, but Job had 3,000 camels. Oh, Mr. Herbst could have done a rent-a-camel business. Done a great job with that. Oh, we had everything. I gave Job 10 children. I bore them in my body, 10 children. Job worshiped God all the time. He was known as the worshiper. I worshiped with him. What good did it do me? In one day, just one day, we lost everything. Everything. One band came and took away all of our sheep, killed all the servants but one, and he came running with his report. Another group of people came and took out the others, the camels. Then some more came and destroyed the she-donkeys and the oxen. And in that same day, that same evening, a storm hit the house where my children were celebrating a birthday. They always gathered to celebrate their birthdays, and their father, righteous Job, always prayed for them just in case they sinned. Well, a lot of good it did, because that day the house fell on them and killed all 10 of them. Can you imagine that funeral? 10 bodies lined up, my babies, my children, lined up in a row for a funeral. We buried them all. Then Job's body got sick. He'd been healthy all his life, and all of a sudden, boils broke out from the top of his head to the soles of his feet. He was covered in boils. He got so sick he could hardly walk across the floor. One day I watched him as he got out of bed and walked across the floor and out into the yard. I looked through the window as he picked up a piece of pottery and smashed it against the wall. The sound of it made something snap within me. I couldn't stand anymore. And then as I watched, Job took a piece of that pottery. He sat in the ashes. The man that had been the richest man in the East now sits in the ash heap and scrapes his sores with the pottery. Suddenly, he put it down and raised his hands toward heaven and began to worship God. That was the last straw. I ran to him and I said, Job, are you still going to retain your integrity? Why don't you just curse God and die? What do you think you would have said? What would you have done? Whatever we go through, God wants to turn it around. God turned it around for Job's wife. God doubled everything that had been stolen. If you read that account, you see that it was Satan that stole everything from Job. It was Satan that put the boils on Job. If you just read the account, you'll see that Satan was right up there with God talking to him. And God said, have you noticed how good Job is? And Satan said, yeah, you take off that covering that protects him and see if he still worships you. And Job, Job passed the test. Are you passing your test today? If you feel like you've been tested and tried and you feel like you can't take anymore, can you pass the test until it's over? Because when it's over, you come forth victorious. See, Job came with twice as much. He had 14 sheep in the end. He had 6,000 camels. He had 500 she-donkeys and 500 yoke of oxen. Or he had 1,000 when it was double. So everything was double. Even God gave him back 10 children. And I'm wondering, did the same woman that told him to curse God, did she bear him those other 10 children? The Bible doesn't say. I like to think that she prayed through and she gave him those other 10 children. The Bible does say that he had 7 more sons and 3 more daughters, and the daughters were the most beautiful women in the land. So that's a wonderful thing to know. All of his relatives came and gave Job money, and then they all gave him a golden earring. So Job turned out to be double as wealthy as he was. And